I figured to refilm this video, mostly because of everything that has happened. But yeah.
He's a phantom. Danny Phantom. Young Danny Phantom, he was just 14 when his parents built a very strange machine. It was designed to view a world unseen. He's gonna catch 'em all 'cause he's Danny Phantom. When it didn't quite work, his folks, they just quit. But then Danny took a look inside of it. There was a great big flash, everything just changed. His molecules got all rearranged. When he first woke up, he realized he had snow white hair and glowing green eyes. He could walk through walls, disappear, and fly. He was much more unique than the other guy, and it was then that he knew what he had to do. He had to stop all the ghosts that were coming through. He's here to fight for me and you. He's gonna catch 'em all 'cause he's Danny Phantom. He's gonna catch 'em all 'cause he's Danny Phantom. He's gonna catch 'em all 'cause he's Danny Phantom.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Daily Reacts TV here, and welcome back to Danny Phantom Week. You can clearly hear me well. Anyways, every second week now of May, I talk about my favorite ghost boy, Danny Phantom. And if you guys want to go check out my other Danny Phantom content, go check it out. You can check out all of the content. I highly recommend it. And go check out my first Danny Phantom Week video, which is Danny Phantom Fair Game, a graphic novel review, which had crappy audio, but at least it's a better video and it's a lot more fun. I had a lot more fun talking about the book. It was a lot of fun. And once that third book is announced, then I'll make a theory video. I don't think it'll be on Danny Phantom Week though. So last video, we did a top 10 favorite episodes. Today, I have my top 9 least favorite episodes. These are the episodes I really didn't have a good time with. I've always thought that these episodes would come a week, especially now rewatching them recently. And the more I watch them, the more frustrated I get. So I'm gonna do this list, and then I gotta do another Danny Phantom Week video, which is what I want for a live action Danny Phantom movie. We'll talk about that later on. So without further ado, let's get into the list, shall we? Number 9 is Trent of Terror. This is an episode where Wolf returns, right? And I was thoroughly excited to see... Well, no, that's not it. You see, like, this episode even is forgettable. It is the most forgettable episode. It's not as fun. The episode quality, you know, the only redeeming quality I could say about every single one of these episodes, the music is great either way. You know, it's Danny Phantom. But, like, Trent of Terror is just, oof, you know. But, yeah, not as good. That's why number 9 is Trent of Terror. Number 8 is Eye for an Eye. This is a Season 3 episode that just started Season 3, where Season 3 is not as fun as I thought. This episode drove me nuts, 100%. They turned Danny from what he grew into the previous seasons and turned him into a prankster that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. The quality, the dialogue is not as funny as the first 2 seasons. Vlad becoming mayor, and then that's like the whole quality of the 3rd season, which would have been a lot more interesting if they would have done it in a better solution, in a better way. Because, let's be honest, this whole entire there's a lot of Season 3 episodes in this list, by the way. And this whole entire episode is Vlad getting back at Danny because he pulled all those pranks. It's so horrifically stupid, forgettable, and most importantly, it's not fun like the normal episodes. Danny doesn't fight a ghost. The only thing that he fought was Vlad, but that doesn't even count because it's Vlad's clone, you know? And it bothered me so much throughout this episode to the point where I'm like, what the frick am I watching? Obviously, I do not like this episode more. I hate it. I don't like it. I like it less and less because this episode just... It legitimately, if I was not rewatching the show a lot more, I probably would have skipped this episode because I would watch some of like the episodes that I've listed by itself. I wouldn't watch it. I would rewatch it with the entire show, but I would watch it as like one time, you know. But anyways, yeah, Eye for an Eye is just, it's a mess, and that's what started Season 3. Let's get into it. Number 7, Urban Jungle. What do I have to say about this episode? For sure. what do I have to say about this episode? All I could say is the episode is so incredibly infuriating, you know? Yes, it's cool to see Danny get a new ghost power, which is ice. It was really interesting to see that into the show, seeing Danny growth with that new power. But again, why didn't they hint it a lot more in the show? They say they only hinted it in with his ghost sense. Since when? You know, when did this ice power become a thing? I'm so glad Gabriella Epstein doesn't have Danny use his ice powers more often, because he uses it a lot in this third season, but it just makes no sense where this power came from. I just wish they had more time to develop that ice power. And no offense, this whole entire episode is mostly Danny fighting Undergrowth, voiced by Mark Hamill, which would have been a lot of fun if this Plant Ghost was so much improved and better, but at the same time, he wasn't so threatening, he wasn't so terrifying, and to the point where it just got so annoying. It's so bad. I wish there was a lot more with Undergrowth. I wish there was a lot more action. I needed some character growth. And even with Danny trying out his new ghost power, his new ice powers with Frostbite, it just didn't work well. It just made the whole entire episode feel so incredibly forced. The music's beautiful. The final climax is incredible. But even with that, the whole episode just struggles to tell a compelling story, but at the same time, you just don't see any growth. Funny, I know. So yeah, number 7, Urban Jungle. Number 6, Claw of Wild. This is the actual episode where Wolf returns. And like I said in my graphic novel review of Fair Game, this return is awful. This is an episode where Danny, Sam, Tucker go on a camping trip with their classmates, Mr. Lancer, the PE teacher, who, by the way, she had no reason being in this episode. Her or Mr. Lancer, or hell, even the other kids, which we'll get into. Walker's in this, and he just steals the kids from the campground to feed them or whatever the heck he wants to do with them. What else? This makes no sense. How he has a trick up his sleeve. He had the thermos, and Danny left the thermos with Tucker, and I'm like, Danny, you're smarter than this. Why the hell is the thermos with Tucker? What's the point of you just leaving it? You know, and they don't really explain that whatsoever. There's so many qualities in this episode that just makes me go scratching my head and be like, what am I watching? You know, and especially now that I haven't gotten to it yet, I know for a fact I'm just going to be completely bored watching this episode, obviously. And not only that, Wolf barely had any screen time. Surprisingly, barely had any screen time in this episode, so yeah. Number 5 is Box Up of Fury. Yeah, there's nothing else I could say about this episode. Box Ghost is the main threat. I don't like Box Ghost. I find him so obnoxious and annoying. He wasn't threatening in this episode. He was just more and more annoying. That's all I can say. I'm moving on because there's nothing much I can say about him. Number 4, Girls Night Out. Now, I am gonna be getting hated on for not liking this episode, but let me just say, I do not hate that the whole episode is focused on Jazz, Maddie, and Sam. I do like that. I think that was a cool way of taking Danny out of the way, but that again, you have Danny in the picture and he's barely in the episode, in his own show. I can understand if you did it with just the girls, you know the episode that kind of did this a lot better was in Batman the Animated Series. They did an episode where Batgirl, Supergirl, and Hawkgirl or someone, I don't know. It's been a while since I watched Batman the Animated Series. Go check it out. I reviewed it on Daily Rex Productions on a playlist here. They did that episode 100% better, and this episode, they just phone it in. The girl ghosts, Ember, Ember, what's the girl's name? The one that Johnny 13 was dating, and Spectra, the one that was in the season 1 episode, the season 2 episode I really like, where that doctor thing, and she was like the supposed to be a therapist in Casper High, but turns out to be a ghost that would take kids as youth, and it's a whole episode itself, a lot of fun. They have, when they're the main focus, like the main villain of this episode, I sit down every time I watch this, especially when I was at work watching this at the pizza place, and I looked at myself and I'm like, this is so incredibly frustrating to sit through. This episode is just, it's not fun, it's not endearing, and most of all, it just sucked with the whole story arc. You know, yeah, Danny and Jack Fenton are like on the sidelines of this episode, mostly because they want to give this episode where they're mostly focusing on the girls. Fine, I like that idea. But when you have the main character in a picture like this, and he's on the sidelines, that just ticks me off. Now, again, if they could have kept the name Girls Night Out, but they could have used something a little bit better where with the 3 girls that were in this episode, including with the ghosts. You don't just add Danny with like this and then just have him sidelined in the show and like in this episode. It bothered me so much, and that's mostly the reason why I don't like this episode. Is just Danny's not in this episode as much because he's in the picture. He's always going to be in the picture of the show, yes, but this is his show, and I don't like it that he's on the sidelines. Sorry, that's just how I feel. Number 3, Fenton Menace. Alright, I know that this is Butch Hartman's favorite episode. And this is season 2. So, yeah, we got a season 2 episode. Rewatching this episode, I did not like it. I find it so obnoxious, so incredibly stupid. Danny sees Youngblood, right? And he's the only one that could see him. Okay, Butch Hartman. And let me just say this: the only people that can see Youngblood is kids. Only kids can see Youngblood. We literally had an episode where Sam and Tucker saw Youngblood, and they couldn't see him in this episode. What's the deal with that? It's so incredibly infuriating and frustrating when they added that out of the blue. Like, Sam and Tucker could have seen him. Or at least, like, added it on in the episode that he was in. That is actually in my top 10 favorite episodes, I believe, in Danny Phantom. So this is so frustrating and infuriating because you guys changed something to the point where I can't even sit down and be like, what? That's interesting. That's cool. It would have been a lot more interesting if you added that in that first episode he was in, instead of just throwing it in all of a sudden, just being like, oh yeah, only kids can see me. Where the frick did that come from? Obviously, that's not the only problem. I did not like how Jazz just doesn't believe Danny can see this ghost. Like, Jazz, you've seen him fought. You've seen him become Danny Phantom and fought off all these threats, and you don't believe your own brother because you can't see a ghost that he can see? That's so barbaric. And then when he proves her wrong, like proves her right that there was a ghost there, and she's like, you're not crazy. And I'm like, no dip, Sherlock Holmes. It's so incredibly infuriating. It's so hard to sit through every time. The only redeeming quality, like I said, is the music and the final scene where, like, Danny flies off and Jazz is like, yeah, it's okay to be a kid, you know, this and this and that, and then he gets the fart in the in the bear, and she's like, real mature, Danny, but other than that, this episode was just a huge disappointment. Number 2, Living Large, which is a season 3 episode that I recently watched today, and when I say that I did not like this episode, because it's the same god dang episode you get in every show, Jimmy Neutron. It's done so much times, where the main character gets so much money to the point where they became a douchebag. That's literally what they did. This episode drove me nuts. And Danny only goes ghost once. Doesn't throw any punches. Like, that's one of the things I really like about the show. Danny throws punches when he needs. He didn't throw one single punch. He didn't battle anything. The only thing that makes him go ghost is because the ghost zone is going to be destroyed by the missiles, by the guys in white. By the way, those guys are complete pointless characters in the show. They were fun at first when they first showed up in an episode in season 1, but when they kept redeeming and coming back in, they were just like, eh. But like, and then like he goes in to the ghost zone. He's like, I'm halfway through the zone. I'm like, what the frick do you expect? To go back to the same area where you normally go through in the zone? When you lived at your own house? It was so frustrating, obviously. I felt like this episode it tries too hard to tell the story that we've already seen. So yeah, that's why it's number 2. And finally, my least favorite episode, Reality Trip. Season 2. I hate this episode. I do not like this episode. This is an episode where Danny's identity accidentally gets revealed to the world before Phantom Planet, before Glitch in Time, and before Fair Game. And basically, they failed. This episode tries so much to show Danny's secret identity and everything, but at the same time, it failed devastatingly. Like, it failed so hard. And then Danny stops Freak Show, and the way how he stops Freak Show is so incredibly pointless, frustrating, so incredibly stupid. He tricks Freak Show into turning into a ghost so he could suck him in the thermos. It's so stupid. I remembered watching it again and just being like, Freak Show, you're better than this. Why did you fall for that? The reality gauntlet is a pointless part of the story. The whole journey was so pointless. The whole parents realizing why their son kept it as a secret identity. It's so bad. It's not a great episode. And yeah, that is my top 9 least favorite episodes of Danny Phantom. I would love to know what you guys think. I would love to know your list of your least favorite episodes of Danny Phantom. I got another video that I have to do after this, and then I'm done completely with tonight. And then, yeah, I guess I'll catch you guys later. Yeah, like, subscribe, turn on notifications to be notified of video I make. Links in the description below for Daily Reacts TV, gaming, Tyler and Bodie, Discord, Instagram, TikTok, and Mojo Entertainment. As always, I'm Daily Reacts. Take care, you guys.